Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Eliali in this incarnation. I am here today to talk about the energies of this next week, but principally, I'm going to talk about the lunar eclipse that we are going to have on September 17th, 18th. So I'm going to mention, I'm going to do a summary of the transits of this week, and then we expand on them in the next days. So let's start with Mercury. Tomorrow, September 9th, Mercury returns to Virgo because let's remember that when it started its retrogradation, it did so in the degree 4 of Virgo. So on September 11th, it is going to get out of the shadow period, which means that it is going to go through new mathematical degrees, and at the same time, it's going to create a sextile. This is active the whole week with Mars in Cancer, which is the planet of action. Mercury is the planet of communication and our mental processes. So this gives us the opportunity to make a plan, to finally assume steps or decisions that are impulsing us to the advancement regarding to what is nutritious in every area of our lives, related to the home, the inner home, the internal home, but also the physical one, family, etc. These are topics associated to Cancer. Today, September 8th, the Sun in Virgo is perfecting its opposition with Saturn retrograde in Pisces, and this will also, we will feel it even in the eclipse. I talked about this in previous videos, so I'm not going to mention everything again. But what we are going to feel this week, it is the Sun in Virgo perfecting its square with Jupiter in Gemini. This is perfected on September 12th, and it is going to be active until the eclipse also. This is about making choices that could be at the service of evolution, that maybe imply questioning our limitant beliefs, observing if there are, this optimism that actually is a denial of the reality, but also connecting with the inner trust in the new horizons that we are pushed to approach. Also, Venus in Libra is creating a trine with Jupiter in Gemini. This is a very, very harmonic aspect because of the qualities of these planets. Venus is the planet associated to relationships, resources, desires of the soul. So this is about choosing what really returns us to the inner balance, that to choose what can expand us to both in relationships and in the relationship with ourselves. So from September 15th, we are going to feel the square between Mars in Cancer and karma nodes. Karma nodes, mathematical points that are active in eclipses seasons. So I'm going to talk about this in short because, well, this is a tense aspect. Well, let's go direct with the eclipse. This is a full moon. Every lunar eclipse is given in a full moon. So it is a partial lunar eclipse in Pisces. It is going to be given in the degree 25 with 40 minutes. And the principal aspect, it is that it is going to create a conjunction with Neptune retrograde in Pisces, which is the regent, which is the ruler of the sign. So the Earth is interposing between the Sun and the Moon. It is going to cover a portion of the Moon. That's why it is partial, but it is a supermoon, which means that it is in its closest point to the Earth. And they are like less stronger in comparison with the Sun eclipses, but we are going to feel it a lot because this is a full moon with much more potential. And they are very related with our emotional world, the unconscious. Here, there is like a cut. The moon is eclipsed, and so something is marking the new directions that we need to assume and the things that we have to leave behind. Experiences that we need to experiment. Eclipses are moments of acceleration, and many events are, coming to our lives. And this is a North Node eclipse. the nodes right now are in Aries, Libra, but this is like the preview of what we are going to see in 2025. So the things that are going to be shown here are going to be developed the next year, when the nodes are going to change to Pisces, Virgo. So let's see. Energy of Pisces and Neptune are, which is the same, are associated to unity, the invisible, what doesn't have form, the etheric, the sea, what is infinite, what the dreams, what we imagine from our hearts, but also the dreams that are linked with the oniric plane, the astral plane. Neptune is going through the last mathematical degrees of Pisces, and we are called to do this integration between 2024 and 2025, because during this time, Neptune is going to come back and forth from Aries to Pisces. And Pisces is an energy of finals, of endings and dissolution. This is the end of an era. So when Neptune enters in Aries, we are starting, a new cycle in the zodiacal wheel. Neptune or Pisces are very, very linked with the collective emotions, the empathy, love, the spiritual aspect that unify everything. So in this plane, we also know that this has its polarities, addictions, escapisms, fantasies, deceit, confusion, overwhelming emotions, infinite suffering, finding comfort in chaos or in lack of clarity, the renouncement not as surrendering to the experience, renounce as renouncing to ourselves, renouncing to life, maybe to save other people, in this polarity of believing that we can save other people. Or perhaps the other aspect could be the polarity of the victim, waiting to be saved from the suffering. Saturn is in the degree 15, which means that it's in a opened conjunction with this lunation, with this eclipse. This is a culmination of a cycle. So we are going to see results of things that we see before, the consequences, which doesn't mean a punishment, there is no punishment, actually. Those are, from my perspective, old perceptions that come from religions. But actually, what we see constantly are the consequences of our choices, of our actions. So also, this could be linked with experiences that show us the boundaries, the limits that we need to assume, and the illusions that we sustained until this point. But also, this could show the investment of energy in coherence with the soul. So it is going to depend what it is going to manifest for each one, I mean. Other important aspects is, one of them is this cosmic kite. It is a configuration that has the form of a kite in the sky, that is made by the sun in Virgo. Every lunar eclipse is given in a full moon, so the sun, it is in its opposite sign. It is given in Pisces, so the sun, it is in Virgo. It is making this opposition with Neptune retrograde in Pisces, and creating aspects with Uranus in Taurus and Pluto in Capricorn, which also are retrograde. So the fact that all the transpersonal planets are participating make this event a very strong one. And the retrogradation of these planets are inviting us to review the paths that brought us here in both individual and collective aspects. There are going to be big manifestations of change and transformation, which are Uranus and Pluto, in a massive way, because Pisces represents the masses. And beyond how we are perceiving those events, they have the function to elevate the consciousness, because Neptune, it is the focal point. The sun in Virgo is inviting us to activate the discernment. And this means also unifying logic and intuition, because they are not opposed. In fact, rationality is included in the spiritual. But inevitably, in order for us to reveal light, in order for us to evolve, our logics have to be amplified, and in many cases we have to recognize that they are obsolete. Well, I'm going to talk briefly about how this could manifest in the collective ways, but as always, I decide to focus in how we can channel this as individuals, because everything that is manifested in the collective way, it is a product of what we are doing, of the actions of the individuals. So Neptune could represent in its shadow the deceit, the collective deceit, ways of manipulation. In fact, in 2020, for example, what we experimented was synchronized with the conjunction of Pluto and Saturn, which was a very important event that showed us why the system is collapsing and why we need to build new structures in terms of the system. But it was the activation with Neptune, Mars at that time, Mars, Jupiter, and these planets with Neptune, what was traduced in this expansion, in this collective expansion of the fear and the illusion. That also, this meant, processes for us to learn to listen to our intuition. This axis is very associated to topics linked with health. So again, this is something that we will keep seeing in 2025. Today we know, I think this is very, very linked with a fall of veils. Today we know that there are many ways of manipulation through music, through social media, through films even. This doesn't mean that we cannot consume anything or that we have to mistrust everything. This means that we have to listen to ourselves internally and identify what are those things generating inside of us. Listen to our body, even listen to the messages that the music is delivering, learning to see between the symbols in films. And the highest energy, from my perspective, it is choosing each one from its own role to create in a conscious way, to contribute, to contribute with love to others. And this means through arts or through whatever thing the soul came here to do. So then we have these wars, the bellic conflicts. And to be realistic, these experiences could be expanding and manifesting more, because Mars in Cancer is going to make this square with the Karma nodes. And Mars in Cancer, it is about defending what is mine, what is ours, even a nation. And when we are sustaining these nationalisms or whatever thing we are identified with, through creating enemies, through seeing other human beings as enemies, through violence, this is a distortion of the egos. This has no sense, but it is something that happens, and happens also in our individual lives. So again, this is an eclipse to learn to see beyond the 3D, the material reality. And even if the experiences are moving a lot of emotions, as a divine, I don't know the word, everything has the purpose. Everything has a purpose, and this is about to keep trusting and seeing love, even if sometimes following the path of the soul, it is not the easiest choice. So in the individual way, we could be very, very, very sensitive. There could be overwhelming emotions because the collective emotions are going through us. So the important thing here, it is about not rationalizing too much if those emotions haven't a particular cause, or if we are not feeding them from a mental pattern. It is about letting them go through the body and let them go, allowing them go through the body. In its aspect of shadow, the energy of Neptune in Pisces could be linked with this sadness, apathy, low energy, wanting to escape, to evade their reality, confusion, fear, wanting to have the whole information of the process as a mechanism of control, because experiences with Neptune could be an invitation of surrendering to what is presenting, even if we don't know exactly what is on the other side. There could be experiences of big disillusionment, lies that are revealed, the fall of a fantasy. But if anything of this happens, it is actually to reconnect us with what is actually possible, and also to reveal the true dreams of the soul, without falling in a polarization of ideals. I mean, there is no perfect relationship, there is no perfect reality. Perfection, it is something that we are not experimenting in this plane. So if we sustain those ideals, disillusionment is something, disappointment is something that it is always about to come. And these are aspects to surrender to life, to surrender to the path that is opening in front of us. Even, as I said, if we don't know exactly how it will develop, this is about surrendering to the divinity and to the decisions that return us to the inner peace. That is a signal that we are aligning with our soul. Also, as I mentioned in the first part of the video, because of this axis is very linked with health, we can discover that, and this is something that is going to be more visibilized the next year, that not every habit that we were told that is good is actually good. So this is about listening to our inner self, to listen to our body. The body could have manifestations too. That is a way to show us what we need to do, what is not serving anymore, what actually is taking care of ourselves and loving ourselves, and therefore loving the others, because love is something that embraces everything. Because if we don't practice that, we cannot be at the service of what the soul came here to do. Mercury in Virgo, it is also creating this opposition with Saturn retrograde in Pisces. And this means that we need to understand where we need to put our healthy boundaries, to focus with constancy in these structures that lead us to create dreams. So what happens is that in many cases, we are discovering that the true dreams come after understanding what is not belonging to our essence anymore. Mercury in Virgo in opposition to Saturn, it is also about selecting the information and the conversations that are truly, truly contributing with ourselves, observing the inner critic, because oppositions Mercury-Saturn many times could activate these harsh dialogues on the inside, negative dialogues with ourselves. So it is important to put attention in there, and not confusing the discernment with doing a quick judgment from our perceptions. I mean, everyone sees the reality and sees other people through their own beliefs and what they have inside. This is something that we are also staying behind the veils that we have also. But this is about a practice of creating a structure with what we already know, while at the same time we are opening to more, because there is always more. There is always more things to reveal. I'm going to put an example. There could be a lot of people that have spiritual knowledge, but they have it in a very mixed up way or disorganized way, without coherence even, because they are not understanding with their perceptions, their internal perceptions. It is only about acquiring information from this rational space. The other polarity could be, for example, not attending to what is symbolic. For example, the Old Testament texts, they are modified, but many people are approaching them from the literal ways, and they are keeping like the shell without the light, because many of the every texts of the Old Testament actually have symbols hidden. So these axes are inviting us to understand not only with our mind, but understanding with our soul. In the end, Jupiter, it is creating this open square with Neptune retrograde in Pisces, and the Sun also in a square with Jupiter. So there could be a lot of information and perspectives of one same thing, and this could produce confusion. But at the same time, and the truly invitation of this aspect, it is to align ourselves with the faith of deciding in what really has a purpose in our life, in what we know, from the inside, that truly creates expansion. So that is the greatest guidance that we have during these transits, during our whole process in here. Well, thank you, everyone. I am ending this video here. See you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.